Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 228 of Tales with TR. I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr. Let's get right to it. Today we have one half of the Crazy Eights, former Edmonton Oilers, St. John's Maple Leaf, former and current great guy, good friend, oftentimes guest of Tales with TR, Terran the Sandman Sandwith. How the fuck are you doing, Sandman?
I am doing great, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Now, even though this is your interview, I'll tell you a little anecdote to start.
Shocking.
Shocking. Yeah, you're going to absorb everything I have to say. It's your interview. You're going to get asked two questions, and you're going to listen, young man. No, listen. I went in to get my car done. Okay, so I've got a Jeep, a 22 Jeep, and the warranty came with it. Okay, now I've often said on here, first of all, when I first signed and got my signing bonus, how ridiculous it was. I didn't know anything about cars. I didn't know to buy a secondhand car. I didn't know to make payments. In my mind, why do I want to make payments? I don't want to owe on anything. So I bought my parents a Cherokee. I bought myself a Camaro. And then after one winter, I realized I needed something else. So I got a Durango. So those three things I bought with cash. Okay. I never realized how, like, bringing it in regularly, getting the tires rotated, or oil change. When the light came on, I'd like stop into whatever's on the side of the road. Didn't even realize it came with the warranty. None of that. Then, of course, the dark years came, and if you want to call them that, the dark ages. I'd always, the Durango was worth something, and at the end of that rope, I think I traded for for 15 grand and whatever I had to put on a used truck out west. So I limped into my recent history, never having to make a payment. Even the cars that I would buy, if I worked somewhere, I would either have a work vehicle or get something for like 5 grand. I normally didn't have like 10 available to me, but I would like put something down, pay a little bit, whatever. But I hate making payments. So I had a 16 Jeep, white Jeep, of which you know all about. And I went in and whatever, it had a problem and it was $4,700. I'm like, holy shit. But it was a 16, so there was only so much warranty. It had something to do with the computer. So I was like, fuck. Now, my buddy had a dealership, and he said, I have that exact vehicle, a 22. So I upgraded. I hated making the payments, but I said, he gave me an unreal deal. And I did trade in the other one, so I'm not paying as much as you would think. But biweekly, I'm paying X amount of dollars, and I really don't like doing that. It's just a headache, but whatever. I think I've earned that, and I got to start being responsible. I have the money to do it. I might as well do it. Yet, so they're like, I went in today, all good. They changed my oil, the tires, maintenance, everything is free. I'm going, I don't know this. Look at me. I'm 47 years old, and I didn't take advantage of it when I had the quality vehicles that I didn't take care of them like I should have. I didn't take advantage of any of the warranty. And now I'm going, no wonder. This is pretty cool, making the odd payment, coming in here and, feeling great, just like you had to tell me, you and Jordan, about the Air Canada Lounge. I couldn't have good things, I guess. I just couldn't have nice things. The Air Canada Lounge, I found out about 6 months ago.
Wow. Yes. I mean, well, first thing, I'm hearing little tidbits here, right? And I'm going to be like your kind of pseudo financial advisor, and I'm like going, okay, well, number one, you signed your signing bonus, and all you did was buy depreciating assets right up the top.
Yes, immediately.
and, and you still didn't take advantage of the warranty or anything like that.
No,
Yeah.
nothing.
And
Never, ever.
the other thing is I gotta just say is that nothing's ever for free, buddy. Okay, like yeah, you went in there today, you got your oil change, but trust me, you have paid for it somewhere along the line. But you should take advantage of the perks you get by paying for something, of course. And that's one of the things that the lounge is for the amount of time you're traveling now, buddy. Like that is probably the best value you're gonna get, like for just your alone.
It took you. I didn't know what was happening. Really, it was shortly after the Growlers game. I was at a gate in Vancouver, and I was just zonked because I was coming back from Fort St. John. I don't know. I went backwards to Vancouver. Imagine coming here from Fort St. John, St. John's, and I went through Vancouver, and I had like an 8-hour layover, and I fell asleep. Like I put my head down. The gate I was at, there was nobody, so I put my head down. I'm like, I'm just too tired, and I went down on the floor, and it was a 12-year-old girl and her brother woke me up. I had my hand down my pants. I was drooling. the fucking gate was packed at this point. It's 4 hours after I went, and they're like, "Aren't you that guy on TV?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And you had mentioned something, and then of course I went in. I had an Aeroplan number even,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I had an Aeroplan number with hundreds of thousands of miles over the years. I just keep going my number. What am I giving you my number for? I don't know. So you can store it. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, well, it's like you and I grew up, let's say relatively the same way, where like we never, grew up rich or had any of those perks or thought about those perks. So you always thought like you're being like, you're being a little bit like soft or whatever it is, or you think you're somebody special by doing
Totally.
anything special, right? And it's like so funny now because I travel a lot as well, and I caught myself with a progression of assholeness I've got like if I don't get upgraded into business class now, like I'm so mad. I'm sitting in the back.
I know. And every time I'm surprised how much it happens. Right? Because I got the like 50K or whatever, right? So whatever it is on there, but it happens like every second and never ever. I didn't know about that option watching you guys in action. But the thing is, even okay, let's just say we were all to get on a plane and one of us, I don't know, back like when we were playing hockey, and one of us had first class. I just wouldn't take it because it just wasn't worth the roasting, you know?
Well, I've done it. Like I think it happened actually in my 50th birthday party trip down to Nashville. It's happened a couple times, a couple boys trips where that's happened, and now I don't give a shit. I'm just like, yeah, bud,
Oh yeah,
get your
now you
ass in
don't.
the back, get back there where you belong.
Now I like pulling the curtain over. Sandman, what talent would you most like to have?
Oh man, that's a good one. I would. The one that just pops in my head right now is to be able to play the piano because I like my mom made me go to piano class when I was younger. Like she played the piano growing up, and I was just like it's too cool, and I hated. I thought it was like for nerds and losers back then, and I just totally chafed at it. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't. I just complain. So she gave up after a while, and I look back and I'm like, man, be able to get on a when you see somebody play the piano now, it's like that would be so fun.
Yeah, I know. I look back at that too. It was a total nerd move. There's no chance. I wouldn't even listen. There's no chance. They're the only fucking instrument. I took saxophone in grade 5 just to get out of class and go to band, and I don't have no idea how to play the saxophone. The school gave it to you. I went to a good school, St. Bon's. Gave it to me to use, and I just had someone else do the work. Just to get out of class. Best Halloween costume you've ever had?
Oh, I remember playing the Canadian national team. There's a picture out there somewhere, and I was like, we had a '70s like Chris Halloween party, and I had like the fro, the bell bottoms, like the big shirt, like it was unreal, and the big glasses, man.
I want to see this picture first of all, and second of all, I don't know you to grow your hair long. Have you ever done that?
Oh man, I had a mullet all the way through junior, and like I got pictures of me.
Okay, I've seen those old seventh inning sketch cards. There's a couple that it's
Yeah, but I got
okay.
I had some flow. Well, no, but I had a wig on. I had a afro wig, like it was just huge.
Oh yeah, 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 for the costume.
Yeah,
And going back, wait to the instrument thing. I want to revisit this just for a second. When then most of the good guitar players I know did start on piano, and a lot of them recommend starting on piano. I don't know the reasons for that. I got a guitar over in the corner, and I just am too busy to really learn. But how did that happen? Or did you just pick up the guitar because you wanted to be a hero at the party?
you know it. You know it. They know how that starts. Like yeah. Well, I mean,
So the piano growing up wasn't cool, but when you hit junior
yeah.
and,
Like I
and
think it was actually. I think it might have been. Yeah. No, I was in junior. I was in Tri Cities, and I was messing around, and it was just. I mean, I shouldn't say that. At the beginning, it was just like I think my billet had a guitar, and God, I was trying to think of the song that I started playing. It was told like much like MTV. Where it was like there was with a song. I used to get the tabs and mess around and whatever.
late 80s
Oh God.
too. Speaking of big hair, chances are whatever you strummed first came from someone with big hair.
Do you know what's so funny? Yesterday, I was actually watching. I was watching the Oilers play last night. Somehow, I'll usually pick my guitar up and I'll just kind of mess around when the Oilers are playing. And like one of the easy, and that's probably the first song I learned was "Every Rose Has Its Thorn."
Oh yeah, poison.
It's the easiest song to learn, and I just started strumming it. I go, man, I haven't played this thing in like 20 years. I was just
It's
laughing
so
at that.
funny.
Again, that's like the girls like that, get a little party thing. But I never played it in front of anybody for years and years. So that, like, from that time on until probably, honest to God, into my, like, I dropped it. Like, you have kids, you have family, whatever. You're too busy with work. And then I got back on it probably like 40ish, early 40s. I started getting back into it, and it's only really been the last really 5 years where I've really started.
Really? So when I hear you strumming around, that's more recent than it is from the annals of your childhood.
Oh yeah, to really get serious about it, actually be able to kind of play. And again, I listen. I'm still a hack. I mean, when you see real guitar players, you just go, "Oh my god!" It's like watching a guy play, junior B and a guy playing the NHL or whatever. It's a midget and NHL. Like, you just can't compare. So
You are acceptable. You definitely are. Joe Lazito, you went on with Joey Lazito. Those who aren't listening, just Google my interview with Joe Lazito. I've had two of them. Watch his podcast or listen to it. It's fucking, without getting, this guy's a subway hero, right? He like stopped a fucking, would you say serial killer or killer on the loose for sure on the New York subway? It's a fucking incredible story. I met Joe before all of that. Salmon and I met Joe before all of this. Joe was a hockey fan. He loved the fights. My first week in the American Hockey League, I met Joe. We're friends to this day. And Joe had Sandman on last week. How did it go, my friend?
yeah, man, we did. Actually, it's funny. We did a 3-part series, so it's 3 episodes. Now, again, you know Joe better than I do, but Joe and I've kept in touch probably last 5 years, 10 years. He reached out, and we sort of kind of keep in touch a little bit. So he asked me to come on the show, and I'm sure, yeah, no problem. And I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just thinking, like, we'll get on, we're going to talk a little bit. Well, this guy, like, he should be like an investigative reporter. Like, he went into my deep past every single season, junior, pro. He talked to guys, like, people I haven't heard from in like 25, 30 years. Like, and it was, so we just started going. And I mean, you know me, like, like, when you and I get together, we can talk about anything and keep going. Well, how about just talking about myself, for like, but just like what happened and how things happen and whatever. Like, so we just kind of went off, and he's bringing stuff up in fights, and I'm going, oh my god, I forgot about probably half the stuff I forgot about. Right? He's reminding me about it. But anyway, super, like, I when I figured out what he was doing, I was like, this is going to be amazing, because I've got a sort of a record for my girls. Like, they can sit there and, like, if they want. I mean, probably right now, like, they're teenagers, like, dad, like, this is boring as hell. But maybe one day they might want to listen, to 5 hours of their father talk about himself. I don't know, but it was just really cool to go through, and I really respect what he does, and he's a great guy. What a kind person he is, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah,
Joe is, I've often said, and he's a sincere guy. He really knows his shit. If I, it won't happen because even if I had a lot of money, I probably wouldn't go chasing it with a hockey team. But if I did, I would find someone like Joe, starting with him. He knows so much about the game. And I think, like, it's good that he's doing this because he deserves to have something. He deserves to have his finger on the pulse in the game of hockey. Now, he's created this for himself, and I love it. And of course, he has another job. I don't know if he could be, but if I could have like a GM of a junior B team, say, or something, like, I'd love to give people like that a shot because they know. Now, second, when you're and a lot of, and he was big into the fights, right? Did you ever notice a lot of the tough, even if you look now at coaches, a lot of tough guys, and I don't know, my theory is that they're good coaches because maybe you've got to really pay attention to all the details to stay up there. If you're Wayne Gretzky, like, you probably don't have to worry as much about the intricacies of the game or, each little play. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't know. Even guys that were good, like Rick Tocchet he wasn't a goon by any means, but is it that approach to the game? Is it the respect that they get, like a guy like that gets from Peterson, as opposed to like Todd Woodford or Woodcroft or whatever his name, Jay Woodcroft? Not that he was in it, Vancouver. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? Why do you think they're such good coaches? Is it the attention to detail because they have to do it to stay there, or is it because they command respect, like Craig Berube? Right? All of a sudden now the Leafs are like, oh, we're good with 20 minutes
yeah.
each as forwards. What? You were complaining last year when Keith was there. Y'all wanted 25 minutes. Now it's all good. No, put the second power play out. Well, please, please, and I'll kill penalties, says Matthews. Not that he was the biggest complainer, but you know what I mean.
I totally agree with you. I do think there's a component of that. I think it depends. I think in general, guys that were fourth line guys or guys that had to fight bubble guys. I mean, look, I don't know, like I just Jared Bednar popped to my head, and Colorado. Like these guys have attentional detail because they had to fight their way and battle their way through. But then you take like a Berube is a great example. I mean, absolutely there's got to be a respect intimidation factor, like even Rod Brindamore, like, and I mean, he wasn't a fighter, but I mean, you look at those guys, like, those guys, like, you cannot look at those guys and say, hey, I don't feel like working today. Like he
Yeah, they didn't take a night
yeah,
off.
like they can look at you and go, I know exactly what it takes, and I know what it takes to have like half the talent you have or a quarter of the talent you have, and there's no excuses, right? So I definitely think, and plus I think Rick Tocchet or especially a Berube, like I do think some of the guys they got to be scared of him. Like I mean, I just you
Gotta
got to
be.
look at him. I remember there's a couple guys that they were my
Christ.
coaches. You just like look and go, wow, you got to respect what they have done, and like you got to be a little bit worried about them. You don't want to really push back at them too much.
Yeah, man. I think that's huge. Without having to be a prick. Michel Therrien, for example, I always talk about, I'm not putting him in that category, like, because he acted, and I'm not saying that without any of the biases and my subjective opinion, he coached tough, but as a player, he wasn't. So it wasn't, it doesn't pack the same punch.
Buddy, that's the worst. I mean, it's not even the same. That I mean, I know. Listen, you have to be diplomatic about Tyrion, but like, I can sit there and say, like, the guy was a fucking asshole, and he was you're right. There's a guy that would not throw a punch or defend himself. He'd be crawling in a ball if anything bad was happening or whatever. Like, and then he goes and intimidates young players because he's got the power position, right? Like,
Yeah, it felt like I was being bullied. It really did. I don't want to use that word, but
yeah, it's a bully. No, it is a bully thing, man. And like I had guys like that too, and like we all had guys like that. And I mean, I'm sure it goes on at some level today too, for sure. Probably in the junior and the lower leagues as well. But it's not as I can't see it being the way it used to be, just the way the parents are involved and whatever. But like those guys are around, and like those guys are attracted to that power dynamic, right? When they can intimidate young men, like I told the one story on Joe Lazito about like Bobby Clark. I had to phone Bobby Clark because I wanted to get loaned out, and it's like he treated me like a piece of shit on the phone, and I'm like, buddy, I'm fucking 23 years old, buddy. Like you're fucking like you're my age, like you're 50 some years old, and you're like I had the balls to phone you. Like, can you like give me a little fucking respect? Like, I think about that now, but at the time, I'm like, man, what an asshole I am for even phoning Mr. Clark. Oh my god. I mean, what did I do? Like, it's like what a fucking asshole, like yeah. Anyway, I think that sort of era is mostly gone, thankfully. But that's the great thing about Berube, right? Is like Berube is he could be that guy.
that's what I mean. Him and Tocchet, if they just came into me and said, "Do this, whatever it is, ride the bike," or I'm doing it immediately. There's absolutely no pushback. Right? It's not even. It's subconscious to me. Even
Yeah.
I don't care. You could have. What did you say? I don't know. I'm going to do it, whatever it is. Right? Whereas other people, you
Yeah, but I'm going to guess that or they probably go, we want to do this because this is the way it should be done, and this is why. Like I'm assuming they give the whys. You got to kind of do that with guys too. But yeah, when he says we got to do this because of this, then they're like, okay, what am I going to say?
anybody still around today has to have that level of compassion, empathy, and to the player. Empathy might be the wrong word, but they they have to be able to identify, and you're not going to do that. Tell them to go fuck themselves. That's gone. But I do love the guys that are left over, like the guys we mentioned, even to a degree. Like Paul Coffey didn't play tough, but did you see last year when he went down, he held the guys accountable? You wouldn't want to say no to Paul Coffey, right? But I guess if you're listening to this, don't mistake my explanation of these guys as pure toughness is the reason you're going to listen. They were all leaders on their teams. They were all captains or assistants, and the toughness that goes along with that, of course, just commands a little bit more respect. Listen,
I think I'm just going to speak about Paul. Like, I mean, I know Paul a little bit personally, and I think that the the interesting thing about Paul, like you said, is that I think it's really hard on for a superstar to be able to go and coach. Like when Wayne Gretzky was coaching and like that, like, it's so hard for those guys to relate because they just think of the game at a whole different level. So how do you relate to a fourth line guy that just doesn't have the skill set, doesn't have the mind to think that way, right? So I think Paul did an amazing job with those guys because he actually took the pressure off me. Just let them play, and he kind of like make plays, like And I'm not gonna. And he gave them the space and to make mistakes and not come down on them hard, like but play the game the right way. So I think he found like I think he did a hell of a job. Obviously, he did a great job with D man and. I think number one, the Desharnais. I think he should give like 25% of his salary to Buck over the rest of his career. I mean, he turned into a.
And they miss him, by the way.
Oh
He's
God!
he's a big guy. They miss him, man. He
Oh
kind of
man!
snuck in there back door, but I thought he was a good player.
I love no, I love that guy. That was a big loss. Honestly, I think that was well, obviously CC, but we can go on to that about what's happened to the Oilers with their defense. But
Well, what do you think? I think they need. Well, this is again, they're starting poor. I don't know what to attribute that to other than fluke because they're getting a lot. I mean, not fluke, but they could play better. But I don't know if it's 2-4-1, just like last year. Whatever it is, they'll be fine. But I do think they need some help on defense. I think Skinner will straighten it out. He did last year.
he
The
played great
forwards
last
on
night.
the power play, yeah, he played great last night. Is the power play going to stay at like their shooting percentage on the power play is 6, right? All that's going to even out. But are their defense going to get better or be sufficient to win a Stanley Cup? I don't know.
Well, the difference is that Paul doesn't have guys that are have upside potential. Like right, all those guys are veteran guys. Like how many guys in that squad are going to get any better than they are right now? Where you had Broberg, you had Desharnais, a couple of guys. There was there he had something to work with. Guys, yeah.
Like CC and Desharnais, like what you want. They're bigger guys. I mean, Desharnais huge. And I think, you miss that size a bit. Like I've often said as a forward, it's physics. People laugh at Corey Cross being up. Back in the day, I just remember that's kind of dating myself there. But, Hal Gill at first, but he turned out great. Like, I just remember saying, I don't know, like, I could go down on John Slaney, talented D. And I know he's good. It's going to be hard to get around him. It's going to be hard to get around all these guys. But if I go on Desharnais or at the time, I don't know, Corey Cross, like, I'm good in the corners. It's tough when a guy's got 8 inches on me. 8, right? Like he's good. It's tough, man. It's physics.
Yeah, 50 pounds on you, and yeah, it's like
And every year, a lot of people don't bring it up, but I think the common denominator every year, if there is one, is fucking Big D, right? And people go, "Oh, well, the game's changing." Yeah, it is, but it still benefits to be big, right? That you don't necessarily have to fight every night.
no. Well, I think yeah. Well, I think that's a transition that's happened, right? Is that the game sped up, so you needed that speed, and now I think the younger kids are coming up. They're the big players, the big defensemen are also skilled and fast because they're training that way. Like
I know.
big guys never
Wow.
trained like that back in the day. They were kind of like, no, just get the puck and get it out, and we'll let the skilled smaller guys, or the power forward or whatever, like handle the puck. And now it's like, no, yeah, you're 6'7", but you got to be able to dangle and skate the puck, right? So that's what you're going to see.
And the things after practice we'd work on. I remember I was talking with Struddy about this. Like after practice, it was like almost just a given that you'd go and work on your one timer. And I never, ever was in the one timer position. I would go in front of the net if I was on the power play every single time. And I don't know how many one timers I took in practice. It had to be in the thousands. And like very, very rarely. And certainly we didn't go over it as a plan. It was just like maybe if I pull out and I'm open, but like never really
Yeah.
needed to work on my one timer. And no offense against you, you didn't need to either.
No,
You were going to get your 5 goals, 15 assists, get the puck out. The odd fight, but I guess training was different. Where would you take right now? Let's say a hypothetical. You meet best girl you've ever met, and you want to take her somewhere on the planet for let's say a week. You don't necessarily have to have been there. It doesn't have to be a romantic excursion. I would love to take someone to the pyramids because I like the pyramids. But there's got to be somewhere that meets, Rome. Now you're hitting around there, or Italian life meets history. Maybe you just want to go on an all inclusive. Maybe you just want to say, fuck GS construction for this week. I just want to go and not worry about anything. Where would you take someone right now that you were head over heels about?
Well, I'm really hard on Italy right now, like because I mean I know we've talked about the pyramids, obviously for like this like
I always say that. Yeah, because
ancient
I
history, like that's definitely a trip that I want to go on. But I mean, to me, that's not something typically you take somebody that if they're romantically involved with.
never, especially, yeah, I know it would be purely academic.
It'd be a tough trip, I'm guessing. But yeah, Italy, I just really, I've been to Rome yet, but I've been to northern Italy through playing hockey a little bit, like in Milan and up in Asiago. And I'm actually I'm going to a ski wedding this winter. I can't wait. We're going to Zermatt, Switzerland, and then into over the mountains into northern Italy. But that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Venice, Rome. I mean, you get in there and like there's just so many layers to it. Sicily, I'd love to go see Sicily. I mean, you could just go to Italy, 15 times and see something different, right? At least it's.
It's my favorite place that I've ever been. Now I plan on doing a lot more traveling in the second half of my life. Hopefully, I could get hit by a bus this afternoon, and I'm at the tail end, aren't I? But assuming I live, I'm gonna go other places. But I fucking love Italy. If you told me I couldn't go anywhere else the rest of my life, stay within Canada, but I'd get a free trip to Italy twice a year, I would think about that. Of course, that's probably my answer as well. I can't think of a better answer.
I remember like I went through Spain like a long time ago, like all through Spain and Portugal. And it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, again, that country is incredible. There's so many different things. And I can only imagine that Italy's like that plus, right? Because just the more the history that, yeah. I mean, they both have history, don't get me wrong, but yeah.
So we played a few exhibition games over there. I was with Cincinnati, and I played a game in Milan, and I was fucking loved it, man. It was packed, a fucking exhibition, and they were beating the drums, chanting the whole game. It's a real diamond in the rough. Where'd you play over there?
Yeah, we had a tournament in Asiago, Italy. And it was up in the mountains. It's a beautiful spot, outdoor arena, like covered arena with open sides, and it's just sitting on top of this mountain. Played in the Canadian national team there, and then of course we spent a little time in Milan through that. But beautiful.
Fuck, I'd love to be going there tomorrow. What do you think of these goalie contracts? So say who just signed one? Swayman,
Ottinger.
Shesterkin, is lights out. So you talk about length and term. So I had Al's brother on from TSN a couple weeks ago, and he asked me that, and I'm not sure if I know how to. I am uncomfortable because I don't know as many goalies that are consistent over that time, and consistent playing is one thing, but just consistently available. And then, because it's an odd position because it's reactionary, right? Like if you're a grinder or a fighter, you go out and get in a fight. If you're a goal scorer, you better put it in the net, but you're gonna have power plays, and I got the puck. If I make a but if you're a goalie, someone could tip it in front of you, and there's not your fault, right? Like Skinner last night, even. Let's say the goals that did go in are any of those like? Are you gonna? So what if fucking 8 of those happen in a game, which often happens, right? But again, he's your goalie. Pull him fucking. There's that, and then there's sometimes if they go into a slump, which they do, you could be. It could be the difference between like right now if Nashville keep losing even just another few more games, it might be over for them. What are they, 0-6? We don't 0-10. Like teams are, like Winnipeg are what, 500. So now just to catch Winnipeg, you might go on a run, but then Winnipeg has to lose every game. Like it's already getting tough. And a goalie is so much more magnified when they're leading that charge. So I guess my question is, do you feel as comfortable? Like Shesterkin is proving right now, you could make an argument he's the best player. So do you give him 15 million for 8 years?
Well, the big difference between them and any other player is that there's absolutely no place to hide. Like you're as a defenseman or a forward or whatever. Like you could have a hell of a year, but you could have a bad game or two or a bad shift or two or whatever, and you're not going to get scored on, right? Like if the goalie is not fully dialed in all the time, now you have to have good group and defensive structure around them. Let's just caveat that, obviously. Um, but the mental requirement for them to be on and sharp, like for that whole entire game, for 60 games a year, for 8 years, like that is a big ask for any human being. Like, and the guys can do it. It's actually it's incredible. So yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you're trying to get a goalie now to get 60 games. You want, if you're going to have a guy that's going to be long term, you're going to try and get like the backup that can play 20 games or 22 games or give or take some of the.
That's it. You got to have that. And like, I'm confident, say, and look at a scorer. Like, I'm confident McDavid will, his numbers, right? They'll either peak right around now and then start, and still, but, whatever. Crosby's what, 35, 36, they're probably more than that. And, he'll get his point a game. I know it. You just look at any player's tail. But for a goalie, I don't care who you are, I can't predict it as obviously as that. I can tell you how many points this year Patrick Kane might get, right? An aging star, but he's going to get 50. He might get 70. You know it. But as a goalie, like Markstrom, he's great. Jersey got him, but didn't he have a stinker last year? The year before, he's goalie of the year. Like, I don't see the numbers being consistent, and maybe that's it, because it's it's harder. It's like it's like when you're at the bat in baseball. I don't know. Like, I know we're all hitting for average, but maybe I get a different. But maybe he's pitching me in. Maybe he's, I hit one, it would have gone fair, but it goes foul, and there's just, it's reactionary. But eventually, I guess, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just not. I'm not confident in it, and I don't know what the answer would be. I'd feel very, very vulnerable if I was a GM. I don't care who the goalie is, signing him for 8 years on term.
Well, let's use the analogy right now. Like like use Connor Matthews, any superstar. They could actually go on say a 5-10 game slump, and they could get, if they can get some secondary scoring in that during that time period, they can still win. You know, but if a goalie goes in a 5-10 game slump, your chances of winning games diminish a lot more.
And fans, if you're in the right market or the wrong one, fans are yelling for his head. Trade him, right?
So that's the biggest issue. Like, I mean, in the front, in the heart, the sad part or whatever you want to call it, is like these guys deserve that money. Like when you talk about like what they have to go through and the mental, like all the effort and the talent that they have, and they get ones that are great, they're great, right? Like, so they deserve the money. But like you said, now you got this goalie like $8 million or $10 million or $15 million or whatever, and now that's hamstrung the rest of your organization. So now, like, if he doesn't play well, you're kind of screwed.
It is tough. I guess each one is a judgment call, isn't it? If I'm a GM, I probably go down and I get to know the player really well. And you know what? Sometimes the stats are going to be bad, but if you're working hard, I'd rather it just Sturkin on an off year than, this guy who I'm not sure of. Maybe that's it. And speaking of that, you know what I noticed?
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's more than that, though. It's more than that, right? Like, look at Swayman. You don't think that it's not a judgment call. There's politics involved. There's a fan base involved. There's whatever. Like they were trying to play that. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's what was going through their head. Like, oh my God, we can't give this guy that much money. Not that he doesn't deserve that. He's not as good, but like they're forced to sign the guy because like fuck, their fans would go nuts. And now they've lost the start of their season, and like all this other stuff and pressures are going on. Like, I mean, that was a whole shit show how that got handled, but.
It was, and it'll be blamed. No matter what happens this year negative, it'll go back to that.
Yeah.
Right? They better be somewhat successful, and Swayman better play well, because it'll all go back to that.
Exactly.
Another thing, you know what I noticed? After we're all done, far less goalies actually go in and keep playing. And when I ask them, and they're like, "Oh, my knees, man. I'm not going in to play beer league. My knees, or I'm not playing shinny." Or maybe because I mean, we talk about how rough the game is for us and hitting and everything, but if you're a goalie, like, just think down ups. You've done 800,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like, it must be hard on your knees and everything. If you're a catcher in baseball, you don't see those guys playing slow pitch when they're done.
I do not want to bend over again the rest of my life.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think too is like, again, it gets back to the mental part. Like, I mean, they've had to be so focused and dialed in for so long, and then once that's done, they're just like, oh my God, like I'm not putting those pads on ever again. I could see that where we can go float around the ice, and we can, like, I know guys like the Oilers alumni skates. You got like Delory out there, and they like they'll never play goal. They're just like they're dangling around and they're having a great time, right?
Chin strap undone, wheeling. Yeah. Sam, man, as far as junior sensations, now I'm thinking, am I missing one? But say since 2000 that have come in that are expected to be generational. Maybe I'm being Canadian, I'm being biased towards our players. But you had Crosby, you had McDavid, you got Bedard, right? Right in our Tavares was like real, he was special status and all that, but I don't quite think he was expected to be generational like these guys. Maybe one rung off of that because I think he was on like Canada when he was like 15 or something. So that's to me. So Crosby came in. I mean, I think that was probably the most confidence I had in any player ever. Just he's from Atlantic Canada, maybe, and the way Crosby's held himself well. He's articulated his thoughts. He's always been on camera. He's never let anybody down, whether it was the fucking midget league or he went to Rimouski, or whether it was the NHL being early on. Then you had McDavid coming through. I don't think it was a surprise that, we knew he was going to get well over 100 points. Not 100. If you told me when he came in that he's going to get 100 points for the next 10 years, that would have been a disappointment. That's how generational. Now, as far as hype coming in, Bedard was the same. What do you think his long-term expectation? Because for a generational player, you're looking at MVPs, Art Ross's, right? You're looking at for that guy like that. What is it? Do you think he's big enough to? Is he got all the intent? Like, what's his ceiling? Same as McDavid. Do you think Bedard's going to be rattling off 140, 150 points, or do you think you've got like a real good Mitch Marner type player?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one. Like I would have last year, I would have said definitely Mitch Marner type player, but he's got off for a hell of a start again this year. So he seems to have that sort of mentality. I don't know. I think Marty St. Louis kind of thing where it's like size doesn't matter. The guy's just got an engine. He's going to go and figure it out, right? So
And he's got huge arms, and he works on his. He's as fit as he's going to be, so he's maximizing that potential.
and he's got the man. Like I mean, to come back second year, all the pressure that's on the pressure's on all those guys, and they're so young, and then for them to be able to handle that and keep going, and you know, so
Yeah, and they do. That's what I find fucking more crazy than all of it is that that the spotlight's on you, and you're still gonna go out, get those bounces, and work and get those. Well, you're gonna work, but they do it no matter what. They do it.
yeah, exactly, and they're there for at the right times. I mean, I would put him between Connor and Mitch. I think he's not going to be Connor McDavid, but he's not going to be a Mitch Marner. He'll be better than that. I think somewhere he'll be an elite player. He'll be top 5, 10 for sure. Like there's no question.
I wasn't coming at that from a cynical point of view.
No, 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 no. And Mitch Marner's a great player. Yeah, but, Mitch Marner's a great player.
I watch him, and he's so creative, and you got to think. Like when I was asked, I really don't know, but if he's getting a point a game now, and last year, right, he missed those 20, which are big because he would have finished with 80 or 90 points. But I don't see him getting any worse. Put it that way. So he's right there because the team's only going to get better. He's only going to get older. His main competition are getting older and dropping off the league as each year passes. So yeah, I know. I'm probably where you are.
He's got that shot. Like I mean, that's a ridiculous shot. Like I mean, so you got
But he pulls it in. It's a ridiculously hard shot, but the way he shoots it, he's getting it off. Like the way I shoot my snapshot, when I come in over the line, I didn't even think of that as an option. You know what I mean? How he pulls it in and he like shoots it from. It's almost awkward for anybody else, but he's so used to it, and his arms are so big and strong. Like he gets it off under the stick and between the stick and the leg that's not usually open. Like if I try that shot, I'm shooting it at your pads, and I'm hoping it can go through your pads. The odd one would. If I had nothing, it's a 1-on-4. And over the course of my career, I might have got 5 goals doing it. But he frequently goes down and makes it look like he's going to do that, but he pulls it through and gets a clean shot in traffic. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I think is so mesmerizing to me. Everything else, it's creative, but there's a lot of creativity.
yeah,
But he does like McDavid's speed to me is as noticeable as Bedard when he has it in the offensive zone.
exactly. And I think that's what you guys. His everybody has that special gift, right? And you got McDavid with his speed and stick handling, and you say you got Crosby with his his ability to use his edges and like control, like use his body to position himself. Like I mean, he's just ridiculous at that.
What was yours? What do you think, Sandman? If someone said, number one attribute, Terran Sandwith, you're a scout, you sit down, Sandman comes wheeling out. This is Brandon Wheat Kings. This is you're older now. You're Billy Goat Gruff. You're a big NHL prospect, second round pick coming back, impressing scouts. What do they say? You know what? He can really do this. What would
Well, I
it be?
should I should read. I actually just found with Joe. I found my draft. The hockey news thing, and it was something like, he's big, but he doesn't think the game fast. Or whatever.
Oh
It
yeah,
was kind of like this
I would.
backhanded compliments or whatever. It's like,
I would absolutely love. That's home summer. They used to do that every year. I got the book. I can't remember what it said for me, but I got a book down there. And every year in your draft year, every fucking player that was rated for the draft had like half a page, and it gave everything. I remember going, "Holy shit! I didn't even pay attention to this stuff." Right?
yeah,
Less likely to hit late in the game. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about before analytics? You know what I mean? Like you realizing that people kept analytics, they just didn't make it all this public. Going, oh my god, I didn't realize that. 7 empty net goals this year. Oh, what the fuck? Oh yeah, you know what
it's
I
so
mean?
true. No, I don't know. I think I was a defensive defenseman. I think I read. I think I read the defensive zone very well. Like I think I could position myself with the defensive end and like angle guys. I think that was I was going to say that was from a skill, quote unquote, skill level. That's probably what I was good at.
Yeah, Sandman from breaking out. You were now. I notice as a left winger because I get pasted a lot on the boards. Right, pasted a lot. Love Nathan Dempsey, love him, but a couple times make the extra move, wait an extra second. Way more upside offensively, but he might give it to me, and oh no, damn it, I give it back, and then just get run over by Steve McLaren or something. But you were aware of the forwards. You rarely gave someone a pass that they were going to get hit at all. You know what I mean? You're coming out, you'd think it out, and
Yeah, that's true.
for
Yeah, yeah.
me as a forward, that was my favorite attribute. Um,
That's why you liked me,
you
eh? Oh, there we go.
well, there's something to be said for that. You're playing, and I'm not knocking Demmer. I'm just giving you an example of an offensive guy that often back there is thinking, and you need those guys because they're great fucking players. Like a Morgan Riley, or they get it, and they're probably thinking go first, and that pass. Wait, last minute, who's open, right? Where your first priority is okay. Let's see who's open. Let's get it out of here. I'm not taking it down the ice.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Sam, man, I got to take off. I got a big skate.
Can I say one more thing? No, can I? We gotta. Okay, next time I'm on, you and I want to talk to you about the NCAA, the new rule change about junior players playing. Like I don't like. This is a conversation you and I have to have because we were both affected by it, obviously, when we played. So I know we don't have time right now, but let's put a pin in that. I'd love to like talk to you about what it means and all that stuff.
Yeah, we can do a volume 2 this week if you want.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Sam, man, how about this? Let's do this next week. I was thinking about this anyway. I'm gonna have a guest, but I might do like a C volume, and I got some other questions here we didn't even get to. I normally don't. Why don't you write down a few? You're on here you almost are like a monthly co-host, but let's do it next week just as a C. I always do A and B podcasts. I'll do a C, and let's do that because I didn't get to a lot of questions either that I think you're gonna get a kick out of, be intrigued by, and you do the same. So we'll go 3 questions each. We good?
That'd be great. I'd love it.
Okay, brother. Now, on side note, I will be there November 17th to play against the Leafs alumni. I don't know if you're in Toronto, and then
I will definitely check my schedule. If I'm here, you know that I'll be cheering you on or mocking you.
check my Instagram, gives our dates, games. And then November 23rd, I don't know if you're out west, I'm dropping a puck for the Black Falls junior team, and which is not far from Edmonton. And I don't know if you're out that way. Maybe we'll get together, but I'm throwing it out there right now to you and all the wonderful fans and hockey people out west. And a lot of people now listen from the Jason Greger show. So that's where I'll be, folks. Black Falls. It's their, I think, 5th home game of the year. There's a significance behind it. But I'm going to do a live Q&A. I'm going to drop the puck and maybe practice with the team in the morning. So get ready for that. Sam, man, anything else to promote or say before you go?
I'm all good. Looking forward to talking to you again.
Okay, buddy. Thanks a lot. That was, once again, Terran, the Sandman Sandwith. Folks, if you're downtown St. John's, why not drop in? Check out Trinity Pub, the Martini Bar, Rob Roy Confusion, Green Sleeves, and of course, the Bull and Barrel. If you're going to go for a bite to eat, why not go to the Loose Tie? Blue on Water, and check out Wedgwood Cafe, who are on Elizabeth Avenue and also do catering. Peter Wedgwood, Wedgwood Cafe. If you want to work out, strength and balance for the body and mind, Ryan Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane. If you want to go to Mr. Lube, there's 2 locations here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Torbay Road, Kenmount Road, live, laugh, lube! Pitbull Pain Relief, pain snips that just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. True Hockey, take what's yours. And folks, I fucking love my Muggsy jeans. Go get yourself a pair. Okay, be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Catch you on the rebound.